Okay, today is 2.1a adjacent angles. And our central question is, how do I solve for missing information using adjacent angle properties? So it really helps if we know what adjacent angles are. So we're going to start with some vocabulary. An angle is formed by two rays with a common endpoint. So a ray looks like that. So OA is a ray. And if OB has the same endpoint, then this is where the angle is. Rays are the sides of an angle, and the common endpoint is the vertex. Angles are labeled with the symbol that looks like this. I usually draw it with a half circle through it or an arc through it, so that's angle O. And they can sometimes be labeled using the rays so that it looks like this. Angle AOB with the vertex in the center. So acute angles have less than 90 degrees. Right angles have exactly 90 degrees. Obtuse angles have more than 90 degrees, but less than 180 degrees. Straight angles have exactly 180 degrees. And reflex angles are more than 180 degrees. So that would be an angle that looks like this, where the angle that we're measuring is the outside part. Let's go back and do some examples. So exactly 180 degrees is a straight angle. Obtuse would be an angle that is more than 90, but less than 180. A right angle is usually depicted by a little square in the thing to depict a right angle. And an acute angle is an angle who measures less than 90 degrees. Adjacent angles are two angles that share a common side. So an example would be angle AOB and angle BOC. Those two angles are adjacent because they share the side BC or OBO. The measure of the large angle equals the sum of the measures of the two smaller angles. So that means that the measure of angle AOC equals the measure of angle AOB plus the measure of angle BOC. So here's the first example. We have angle WVU. And that equals, the whole thing is 153 degrees. Because here's the measure of angle WVU. Angle WVC, this angle that I've drawn in red, is 110 degrees. So this piece is 110. So they're adjacent angles. We are justifying. How do I know that I can set up this equation? How do I know that I can do this? And that's because those are adjacent angles. As we progress through this section, there are different types of angles, and I have to be able to identify how I can say it. So then, that means that the measure of angle WVU equals the measure of angle WVC plus the measure of angle CVU. So WVU, we know, is 153. WVC is 110. And this is our X. So then we subtract 110 from both sides. And that gives the measure of angle CVU to be 43 degrees. For number 2, we're going to break it down a bit further. I've got this chart laid out that gives you the 4 steps and how to solve when the problem is more complex. So justification, which property are we using? Well, the property we're talking about today is the adjacent angle property. That means that two things equal the large angle, which is 166. So the large angle in the picture up here, this purple angle, is 166. The red angle, AGH, is 13x plus 5. And the green angle is 1 plus 3x.
Very quickly, were the labels on your calculator still blue or were they white now?
They're a little bit different blue.
But they're still blue? Okay, I need to get the, do you still have the thing?
No,
Okay, thank you.
Lima's got it. So the red and the green angle have to equal the purple. So I just have to solve my equation now. Here's my equation. That's what I've done, is I wrote here. So now I need to solve the equation. Combine like terms. 13 plus 3, 16x. 5 plus 1, 6 equals 166. Subtract 6 from both sides. 16x equals 160. divide x equals 10. Now that just tells me where I solved for the variable. That's what this is. I'm not finished yet. I have to be able to find the measure of each angle. So the measure of angle FGA was 1 plus 3x. I now know that that's 1 plus 3 times 10. That's 31 degrees. The measure of angle AGH was 13x plus 5. I now know that that's 13 times 10 plus 5. That's 135. And then if I add 31 plus 135 together, that's 166. And there is my final check. So adjacent angles are two angles that share a side. This is the common side. And the sum of the two smaller angles equals the greater angle.